Welcome to the June 15th, 2021 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host. I was going to say, I'm your friend. Vysethebold. I don't know if I'm your friend. Am I your friend?
You might be. You might be.
Okay. And this is?
Lotus Prince.
Okay. No, you're just doing this, just for the charity of it, right?
Of course.
So anyway, we have a lot of stuff going on this week.
All the E3 news that's fit to print through 2 days ago.
Yeah, and unfortunately we're going to miss Nintendo, which will probably be, I'm going to guess, going to be this show stealer. I mean, they aren't at E3, but they are making a digital presentation during E3 like they always do, so this is usually their biggest one of the year, and of course everybody's expecting a new Switch, and I don't see any reason to doubt that. I mean, having Bloomberg, or what was it, Forbes reporting on that.
I want to say Bloomberg.
Was it Bloomberg? Okay.
I'm not 100%, but I think it was Bloomberg.
Both of them. It's probably both of them, honestly. But if Bloomberg's reporting on it, it's pretty much, a given. They don't trade in like light speculation or light rumors. They hardly ever have inaccuracy when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, this wasn't E3, but it kind of was. Elden Ring was finally shown off after a very long time.
Yeah, move over anything. Half-Life 3 and Duke Nukem Forever. Duke Nukem Forever finally happened, but Elden 3's coming out. It's gonna happen.
I mean, Elden Ring really wasn't that far off. How long ago was Sekiro? 2 years?
Yes, I don't remember. 2018, 2019.
Yeah. So Sekiro's not, not that old.
Yeah, and, but there was mention of Elden Ring, and then just no information for years.
Well, this is a big game. This is like their next Souls-like-y kind of thing, and it looks to be more Dark Souls than pretty much anything else. It's not like Sekiro. It doesn't it doesn't have much Victorian aesthetic to it. It definitely looks like medieval fantasy.
Yeah.
Definitely Berserk to the nines. The monster design is very, very berserky, which makes sense. I mean,
FromSoft's been doing that for years.
And also, I'm kind of glad because they do it well, and it's a fine tribute, especially now that we no longer have Kentaro Miura to continue on his stuff. So why not have another company who does a good job with that kind of style continue it on? So that kind of style on. So I'm all for it, and looks like it has some multiplayer components to it, which the Souls games always have.
Yeah, Soulsborne has been doing that. Sekiro was the exception.
But it looks like a lot of fun. I mean, people are calling it Dark Souls with a horse. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But that it does look a little more comic booky. So in saying that, it looks like your characters can do flashy attacks and things like that are not Dark Souls, of course, has magic in it, but it's
usually the big show-stopping attacks are done by bosses.
Yeah, exactly, and the stuff that you can do as a pyromancer and stuff like that looks.
You can do cool stuff eventually, but it's not oh my god!
You don't flash and then do a badass attack when you do it. You blow fire.
You're not an anime protagonist.
Exactly. So it always. Dark Souls and Demon Souls have always looked, realistic, but with magic, and this one, it looks a little bit more comic booky in that way, but I have no problem with it. I think it looks beautiful. It looks to be fantastic. I know you're going to be interested in it. I'm sure.
Oh, right? Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it looks great, and I think it'll be the biggest hit whenever that comes. It comes out in January of 2022.
Yeah, way closer than I thought.
Yeah, and I should preface that a lot of games aren't going to be out in time for Christmas season this year, which is understandable.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but like, there's a lot of really cool stuff announced right now, so I don't really have a problem with it, to be completely honest. So yeah, Elden Ring looks beautiful. Does have George R. Martin working behind the scenes to help produce it, right? Maybe some influence on the lore of the world, that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe when the game's released, George R. R. Martin will go back to writing his books.
I don't know if there's enough Domino's pizza in the world to fuel that, but we'll see. I mean,
I want a real ending to the series and not the bullshit that D&D like straight up threw away because they were gonna make Star Wars.
I mean, everybody's a zombie in the books now, so I mean, it's already different enough. But right, isn't that what's going on right now? Everybody's a zombie.
What?
There are zombies, and basically,
there were zombies in episode 1. That's how that's the first thing you see in the series is that the White Walkers exist.
Oh, they're zombies. I don't know.
The White Walkers are zombies. That's like literally the first thing that happens in the entire series, and you're like, oh, that exists. Better watch out for whenever they finally reach civilization, and we still haven't hit that point.
Well, I mean, like a lot of the main characters have been zombified at this point in the books, but
I don't remember that actually. It's been a long time since I've read them, but I don't remember this.
Like a lot of the Red Wedding characters are.
Well, that's called being killed.
Yeah, but they're zombies now. They're not like dead forever. Is my point.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah. Well, that's in the most recent book, I think.
The 5th one?
Yeah.
I have no memory of this.
I don't know. I know Catherine's a zombie. I don't know. But anyway.
I don't think she's a zombie so much as somehow not dead.
Well, she's undead.
I don't think she's undead so much as not dead. Okay. Like she somehow lived.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so actual proper E3, the big stuff has come out from Microsoft / Bethesda, Square Enix, Ubisoft, Devolver Digital, and Arcade One Up. Oddly enough, has some pretty cool stuff to show off. But yeah, starting from the top, I mean, Microsoft Bethesda is a huge deal. Obviously, they are one of the big 3 console manufacturers. Of course, Bethesda's part of it now because Microsoft owns them now. But yeah, Starfield is a real thing now. It is something that's been shown off, at least as a teaser, coming for next year.
Yeah, I think it's 11/11/22, which will make it exactly 10 years after Skyrim.
Yeah, so that is going to be their next big game since Fallout 4. Like in terms of like single player.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say single player, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, there was of course Fallout 76, but that was a multiplayer game.
Yeah, and there was Elder Scrolls Blades, but that was a free to play phone game that eventually got Switch ported.
No, I'm talking about major tentpole.
Yeah, super big would be Fallout 4. Yeah.
Sure. And a big surprise, they announced Stalker 2. There hasn't been a Stalker game in like 15 years.
It's been a long time. It was like PlayStation, like late PS2, early PS3 era, or something like that. It's been a while.
It was college.
Jeez.
So it was later than that. It was 360 era, but still, it was 360 PS3, early 360 PS3 era.
The only thing that throws me though is that it's called 2. Like there were 3 Stalker games.
Yeah, but it does make sense calling it 2 because it's a completely new like generation of Stalker games.
I guess, but stuff like that's just like, what? All right.
It would be the 4th game, but I guess they don't want people like to be counted out.
Yeah, I think someone had said that one of the games was a prequel and one of them was a sequel, so this should be like 3, not 2 or 4. I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, the first the sequel games were kind of like big expansions almost. They were using the same engine and all that shit. So
it's like Fear Perseus Mandate or something.
This is really interesting because everybody basically considers the Metro franchise to be the successor to the Stalker franchise.
Yeah, the evolution of it. Yeah, so now they're doing like an actual Stalker again.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Wasteland coming back and doing its own thing, which is kind of funny. But I have to say, going back to the original Stalker is one of the hardest things I've ever tried to do. I cannot get into that fucking game because it is a fundamentally, like, it's a well-respected and influential game, but it is fundamentally broken. Like, even with a fan patch, it is extremely broken at the beginning of the game, to the point where it's incredibly difficult to get past the beginning of the game, like the first part.
I've had them for a while digitally, but I've never tried them.
Okay, I'll give you a for instance. So on like easy mode, for instance, the reason why it's broken is that on easy mode, accuracy across the game falls, including your own.
It falls on easy mode?
Including your own, yes.
Wow, alright.
So all of the enemies can't hit you, but you also can't fucking hit them.
Jeez. There's a thing like that in Control. There's like an extra like challenge level you can do, and that's one of the mods, like, as a challenge. Like, the enemies do 85% less damage with their guns, but you do too, so you'd better rely on your psychic moves.
Well, you can't even fucking hit them. I've been seeing people say, yeah, the way to play this game is on hard mode because at least you can fucking hit them.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So like like even playing it on normal is really hard because you're very inaccurate especially in the beginning of the game when you have a shitty gun.
I'm thinking level 1 of Deus Ex where you have no mods on your guns or anything, so like,
yeah,
you better be meleeing like everybody.
yeah, exactly. Your options are very limited, and it's the same in Stalker because like you're supposed to like gain things over time and inventory over time in that game, and there's a lot of things you can do, and that's why it's so influential. But yeah, I mean, this obviously will be better. It looks very cinematic and a lot of fun. It looks similar to the Metro series, but I mean, having two post-apocalyptic Russian-inspired open world game first-person shooters is not a bad thing. I mean, I kind of like the.
Well, it's not a glut. Like, there's two.
Yeah,
like,
there's two.
It's fine.
Yeah, and it's a fine set of themes to explore. There's plenty of cool things you could do with that. So, I'm actually most excited about that out of everything. They did announce the Outer Worlds 2, which I'm pretty excited about that too because that's Obsidian. Still continuing their not Fallout game, which is definitely Fallout New Vegas, but not Fallout New Vegas, but in space. It plays exactly like Fallout New Vegas and is better looking and also not hindered by a bad engine. So it is good. I really like Outer Worlds, and it's very cleverly written, as all Obsidian games are. So it's an Obsidian game that isn't broken, which is fantastic.
Yeah, there we go.
And it's it's using a familiar format, but in a good way. So I can't wait for another sequel. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Psychonauts 2 is finally seeing the light of day. We're getting a release in August of that in a rare, like, hey, this is coming out soon.
Yeah, can you believe it? Because people have been begging for Psychonauts 2 since Psychonauts 1, and that was an Xbox and PS2 game.
Yeah, this game has been talked about for a really long time, so they obviously, had a long way to go on it, but this is, I think, the first Tim Schafer game in quite a while now, so
yeah.
I'm excited for Psychonauts. I mean, that's like their first big title, Tim Schafer's first big title since he left, like, LucasArts, I would say, so seeing a sequel, like, everybody loved the original Psychonauts if you played it, so this will be great. They also did a VR spin-off.
Yeah, Rhombus of Ruin.
Yeah. That was good. I mean, like, all those games made by those guys are good. This one looks really interesting to me. A first-person, kind of like squad-based game that looked pretty fun was Redfall, and this is made by the makers of the newer Prey game from 2017, which is wasn't like a smash success, but it was a very critically loved game, and it's more of a cult game at this point, I think, because fans really loved that Prey game. I think if you gave it the time of day, people
that's the thing. I didn't hear many people talking about it, but if you ask someone who actually did play it, they would say good things.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking forward to this because vampires haven't really been explored in first-person shooters, except for the RPG like games, the Bloodlines.
Oh, the Vampire Masquerade.
Yeah. Vampire Masquerade games, but I don't consider those first-person shooters. Those are RPGs, first-person RPGs. So it looks like a lot of fun. I think that'll be cool. And just a couple little things. They're adding Jack Sparrow to Sea of Thieves, which I thought was pretty cool.
Cute. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why not? And Halo Infinite had a multiplayer trailer that looked really amazing. A lot of character customization for the multiplayer mode, and also grapple hook stuff, which I didn't know was part of it. So that looked pretty neat.
Well, the grapple hook was introduced, I mean, at least in the single player stuff. I guess it's also going to be in the multiplayer then?
Yeah, it looks like...
that was one of the big draws. It's like the gravity gun. You have a grapple hook. Can you believe it? One thing I saw a lot of people
talking about... The mobility, shown in the multiplayer
oh, no kidding. Yeah.
thing, looked sick.
But one other thing I saw people talking about were that, you know how the graphics were underwhelming on the previous presentation? People were remarking that they looked considerably improved.
No, they look really nice. They look up there. This is going to be a good game. This is going to be their tentpole release, so I'm sure they're making sure it's absolutely perfect before they release it, because, they need it to be that good. Because they want to sell these series systems. So I think it's going to be really good. So this is really positive. I mean, Microsoft, having all of these studios now underneath it, talented ones that are really a lot of fun. I love Obsidian. Obsidian's one of my favorite developers ever. I really love a lot of their modern games, and I think it's really cool that Bethesda's part of them now too. I mean, I'm not big of corporate consolidation, but I think those two companies in particular having Microsoft money is not a terrible thing. It seems like they are giving them enough freedom to be themselves. They certainly are retaining their personalities. They're making new stuff, so I think that's a lot of fun. And this Redfall game looks really neat. I mean, looks like they have brand new ideas, so I'm all for it. Square Enix had a really interesting show off. Just new stuff on Legend of Mana Remaster. Probably their biggest news was Guardians of the Galaxy has a new game coming out, but I don't know if they're going to fuck it up like they did with Marvel. The Avengers. The Avengers one. I mean, Avengers is greatly improved now to a pretty acceptable game right now, but Guardians of the Galaxy could be a really interesting type of setting for the game, for a game. It looks like they're using also comic book interpretations of the characters, so they don't have to pay for licenses, likeness rights. So Drax looks like comic book Drax, and Star-Lord does not look like Chris Pratt, but which is really funny because Guardians of the Galaxy are losers before the movies, because the movies were so good. Now they're popular, but it's just funny to me that the people that you didn't care about are the most important people in Marvel Universe, like Iron Man. Nobody gave a shit about Iron Man. Until
that was a bold move, having him be the very first movie of this expansive universe.
Not only that, but he's the rock of the entire thing until his character passed away. So he's the soul of it. So it's really funny to see that, because Um, the Marvel universe was held up by Spider-Man and Wolverine. Let's just face it. And to have Iron Man he was a third tier character. You know, like I mean, Captain America was way more popular. You know, him come forward as the character that is the tentpole is just insane, and it worked. It's very insanely charming and wonderful. But it's just a marvel to me.
Hey.
Unintended. Also, a very interesting game was announced: Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. This is a co-production with Koei Tecmo. Did you take a look at this?
Yeah, just like I saw the note that Nomura had made. Like, I wanted to make a game that's like the story of an angry man. So you have just this like, yeah, just like this punk ass just like in a Final Fantasy game. And you're like, what?
But yeah, it is an action game, an action Final Fantasy game. So having Koei Tecmo help you out with making a good action game is not a terrible idea. They've had some quite good ones in the past, but yeah, I don't know what to think of it other than that. I mean, it's Square Enix, so hopefully it won't just look nice. It'll play well too. I mean, they have a lot of hits and misses, Square Enix. So I don't know what to think on the whole. And the final thing that I'm most excited about, but
which was by far the least presented at the thing. After literally 15 plus minutes of Guardians of the Galaxy, here's 20 seconds of the thing you actually care about.
And they didn't give you any details about it, so who the hell knows what they meant by it.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster series got announced. So they are re-releasing Final Fantasies 1 through 6 individually, so you have to buy them a la carte.
Yeah, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard, by the way. I can't wait to see the sales numbers on 2 and 3, even 1. Yeah, are you fucking serious?
2 is legendarily like the worst game in the series, considered by the entire world as being the worst game in the entire series. I mean, it's kind of like Dragon Quest 2. Dragon Quest 2 is really terrible too, but even that's not as bad as Final Fantasy 2. Final Fantasy 2 just doesn't make any fucking sense because it was made by Kawazu. But you have to attack your own characters to gain levels. It's like, how would you even figure that out?
That's like in Disgaea, like an exploit, and if you keep doing that, the game makes you gives you the bad end.
Well, I think it's a reference to Final Fantasy 2.
It might be, yeah. You could grind real quick by killing your own high-level characters and having them not defend. It's super easy, so don't do that because the game will punish you.
What they showed so far is that these games will have a pixelized presentation, unlike the smoothed-out ones that we're used to that we all hate. And
we're not going to be doing the shitty mobile versions, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly, and also not like the 3D remakes of like 3 and 4, that kind of thing. So
and this is apparently also going to be probably widescreen as well, but this is going to be on Steam and mobile. So I'm already concerned because it's not getting console releases, but also I'm not 100% sure about this, but I heard that they're going to be the NES and SNES releases as opposed to the GBA or PSP remakes.
Yeah, that was the other thing that people were wondering about is what do you mean by remaster? Are they the original versions of these games, or
because Square has a history of choosing the worst versions of their games to put onto Steam with the Chrono Trigger and FF6. So it's could you please just port the good version? I don't know why the fuck, and selling them separately is so stupid. The game should collectively they're from the fucking Super Nintendo era at the latest. They should cost next to nothing for the whole package.
Yeah, it's really pretty damn goofy. I mean, I could see wanting to play maybe Final Fantasy 1 if you want to see where everything came from, but honestly, the series doesn't come until its own until the 4th game. And
Yeah,
So,
and if it's not the remake of that game, by the way, the NES version is just bad.
The SNES version of 4, you mean?
No. Of Final Fantasy 1, the NES version.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really a goofy thing because the PSP versions or GBA versions of 1 and 2 are the ones to play. 3, the
even
one to play
6,
is the
they got
DS
extra content
game.
in 6.
3 is really the DS game, but like that's not getting on here. The fourth game, the version to play is the PSP game that has all of the expansion content, and like they gave you a choice of remastered soundtrack or like the original, and it's in like genuine widescreen, and it's really fucking good. But it's locked to the PSP and or Vita if you downloaded it. And then 5 never got a good treatment. I think it's on.
Well, the 5 was GBA, right?
Yeah, probably the most content heavy version of that is the GBA version, but that's truncated. It doesn't look as good, and it doesn't sound as good as the SNES version. So there's no definitive version of 5.
Yeah, and 6 also got the GBA treatment with more content, but the SNES version, again, like you said, looks better.
And sounds better. Yeah, looks and sounds better. So, there are no definitive versions of anything except for the 4th game, I would probably say.
And what kills me is that there could be.
Yeah, and it's locked to an obscure system by this point. Let's just face it. Like, the PSP/Vita is obscure by this point. It's a cult system. It is not mainstream. And Vita was never really mainstream, honestly. The PSP at one point was, but the Vita was never mainstream. So, it's really kind of distressing to see, like, why doesn't Square Enix just put out best versions of all of these with all kinds of different ways to play them? Like, if you want to play them with, like, SNES style graphics, which is probably the best way to display these. I mean, like, the first game with an SNES style remake overhaul would look beautiful, and it would probably be the best way to play that game. But whether you want to play it with the original sounding music or remastered music, you could do that. Or if you want to play it with the original graphics, you could do that. Like, why not just give us some choices, but also give us all the content and make it look good? I don't like this is they do. Other companies do this.
Yeah, it took
the only company
that
doesn't do this, and they have all the money in the world.
It took like the entire internet kicking and screaming to make them like unfuck Chrono Trigger on Steam.
Yeah, the only reason why we have a definitive version of Chrono Trigger is because we yelled at them a lot when it originally came out.
And even then, they were like, "Oh, we didn't think there would be like this kind of response." Like, how the fuck did you not think that?
Yeah.
Like, you took a shitty version.
And even that is locked away on Steam because the only other way to play it is on DS. So,
yeah.
The only way to play that on a big screen is through Steam, which is ridiculous. It should be on the Switch. Why isn't it on the Switch? Why isn't that lovely version of Chrono Trigger on the Switch? It should be. It's literally like if it's in the top 5 best RPGs on the SNES, and some people say probably the top 5 of all time. Some people argue that maybe Chrono Trigger might be Square Enix's best game ever, which it's in contention for that. It really is. It's that good, and this is how they treat it. I don't get it. But we'll see. But I'm not looking. I'm not optimistic. I mean, I think they're doing fine with their Legend of Mana remastering and like what they've been doing with the Mana series lately. And also, what was the most recent game? Saga Frontier. They remastered and that turned out well. That stuff is good. Why can't?
Yeah. It's a shame that I happen to not care about either of those things.
Yeah, I don't care about them either. But what they did was really noble.
Yeah.
Right? They added cut content that people always wanted and made them more cohesive game. Yeah, but this, you know what it is, Lotus. It's that there are so many old farts at Square Enix that are there from the old days that they have such draconian like business practices in
probably is it
in older companies that they have to ask permission of all these old farts, and they're like, no, I like this version the best, even though like all the fans say another version's better. I bet you that's it. I really bet that's what's going on. It's just too hard, too much red tape to go through without making somebody mad in the corporate ladder, which is disgusting, honestly. When they're all dead, they'll be able to make the versions we want.
Yeah, that really is what it is.
But anyway, moving on. Ubisoft had some really interesting stuff. You have Rainbow Six Extraction, which, you know what their original name for this was?
No, I didn't even know that there was an original name.
Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Oh, why would they have changed that?
Too soon. Yeah. But yeah, no, that was before COVID. So,
but Extraction is like the polar opposite of quarantine.
Yeah, I know. I think that's why they did that. But this looks actually really fun. So this is going to be a up to 3-player co-op game, fighting against aliens. It looks like. So Rainbow Six has traditionally been extremely realistic.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Tom Clancy would be proud.
And now they're straight up going into aliens. But
yeah, fuck it.
You know what? I am more interested in playing this than any other Tom Clancy game that I've ever seen. So it looks like a lot of fun. It might even look like it has some like Left 4 Dead or even like Borderlands vibes. So I'm all for a squad-based, like let's stick together and keep moving forward kind of game. I really love that kind of stuff. So I'm for it. They also have rebranded Rocksmith to Rocksmith Plus, which is actually really noble. They are basically the only like music peripheral game still doing stuff. There's been no Rock Band. There hasn't been Guitar Hero in a really long time, or Band Hero, or any of that for a long time. And kind of people are looking back at it, going, "I wish I had Rock Band going on right now." So, but Rocksmith has always been a lot more practical. Do you know anything about Rocksmith, Lotus?
Nah, I never paid attention to the music peripheral games.
So Rocksmith is cool because you hook up a real guitar, and you learn how to play like real guitar licks when you play the game, and your controller is a real guitar. So the skills are transferable. So that's really neat. And I think that was one of the major complaints that like musicians had about Rock Band and those kinds of games.
Yeah, you press buttons on a controller that's vaguely shaped like a guitar.
Yeah, I mean, basically the drums were and the microphone were the only like transferable skills.
Yeah, an actual pro guitarist might lose on like an easy level in Rock Band because it's just not. Playing the guitar.
They're not transferable.
It's like that video you might have seen of Mike Tyson playing NES Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and getting his ass kicked. It's just like, I don't know, man. I don't play video games. And Glass Joe beats his ass. Like, what do you want from me? Like, it's not. I'm not punching a guy.
Also, Punch-Out isn't really a boxing game. It's more of a rhythm game.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like you have to spot the when you can.
Yeah, the tells.
Yeah, exactly. So, Riders Republic look really interesting too. Probably the most interesting extreme sports game in a while had been Steep, which had some Olympics branding for the last Winter Olympics, and that was really fun. And Riders Republic just looks like that, plus like wingsuits and like a few other kind of stuff. But it still does have snowboarding in it, and it has like. You could see people playing kind of like those online Mario games, where you see the other Marios jumping around.
Oh, sure.
This has that kind of thing where you see all the ghosts around you of everybody playing the game. And that looks like a lot of fun. And they have like a realistic mountain where all of the stuff is set up, so you could travel around and all that kind of stuff in a realistic space rather than just doing races. So it's pretty cool. You could explore the mountain. Far Cry 6, of course, has already been talked about, but the season pass leaked earlier this week, and it turned out that the leak was accurate. But this is pretty neat, especially for longtime fans of the series. The season pass allows you to play as famous villains in the series, including the two probably most famous villains in the series.
Far Cry 3 and 4.
Yeah, of 3 and 4, Pagan Min and Voss, which are the Voss is like such an iconic character in the series. So
and both
really
of them
cool
you meet at the very beginning of the game.
And Pagan Min's awesome. He might be the secret. I think he's even better than Voss, but I can understand why Voss is even more popular, because Voss made Far Cry what it is. Let's face it. Far Cry 3, it was such leaps and bounds better than anything before it in the series, and it really changed how even first person open world games were after that. Far Cry 3 is one of the best games ever made. I really love that game. And 4 is really just more of the same, but it has some good characters and good performances. And somebody famous is Pagan Min. I forget. Is it?
I don't remember. Or maybe I never knew.
No, Pagan Min voice actor is somebody famous. Troy Baker. Okay, of course.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so I was just I know it's one of our favorites. So that's really cool. And also Mario and Rabbids gets a sequel, Sparks of Hope, which nobody knew about, which is really great. The original was a lot of fun. It's basically XCOM, but with Mario and Rabbids.
That concept is freaking nuts.
And it was good. The new one is giving me vibes of Valkyria Chronicles. They're kind of making that leap of tactical stuff, giving you more of a radius rather than a grid per se. So I'm all for it. That game was awesome, and I'm very glad that it did well. And then there was some minor stuff. I guess a gigantic. This isn't that minor. I guess this is a gigantic expansion is being added to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is really pretty cool. But I know a lot of people really love that game, but I haven't had much experience with Assassin's Creed in general.
Yeah, I've never played a single game in the series.
Me either. Which is surprising, because I would have thought I would have played the second game back when it came out, when it was so popular, but it just never got there because I have to according to my own rules, I have to play through that bad first game first, and
yeah, that's how I roll.
Had the heart for it. I never had the heart for it, but probably their biggest news was they are releasing an Avatar game based off of not The Last Airbender or anything like that, but James Cameron's Avatar.
Yeah, this is great because everybody's been clamoring for more Avatar.
So Avatar remains the least culturally relevant successful thing ever produced.
But they're still they're pushing it so hard. There's gonna be multiple sequels. It got such lukewarm reviews from the first movie. It's a gorgeous looking movie. It's one of the greatest 3D experiences ever in a movie theater. But the movie's just whatever. It's not bad, but whatever.
You can't even name one character from that fucking movie.
Yeah, I literally cannot remember a specific name from anybody.
Yeah, and
then again, I could say the same thing about Rogue One as well. It was a popcorn movie, but who the hell is anyone?
I mean, everybody likes the Alan Tudyk's performance. I mean, that's the big takeaway from Rogue One, as the robot, right?
Yeah, the robot, whoever the fuck. But yes, his performance was great.
But
and Donnie Yen, who I have no idea who his fucking name is, but he's Donnie Yen in real life. Donnie Yen's always good.
Ass as a blind man. Avatar was popular because it was groundbreaking in its presentation.
It was absolutely earth-shattering. It's that really is probably unparalleled for presentation, but the movie's all right.
I mean, it was a theme park ride, and everybody had to see it. That's really what it was. And
and now there's going to be a video game because just what I needed after like how long has it been? 7 or 8 years since the movie came out. Finally, the Avatar video game.
See, and nobody's looking forward to the sequels that James Cameron is somehow still making as a very old man. At this
but
point.
You know what? Maybe this is a sign the sequel will be good, because you know what it makes me think of is Marvel vs. Capcom 3, when they announced Rocket Raccoon, because it was like Smash before Smash, right?
Sure.
Smash. That's not true. Smash Ultimate before Smash Ultimate.
Yeah.
And everyone, who's gonna be the next character?
Sure.
Is it gonna be a Capcom character? Is it gonna be a Marvel character? Who's it gonna be? I could think of a bunch of people from both that I want. And then Rocket Raccoon, which is a goofy name. I've never heard of him. Who the fuck are you? And then you actually play as him. One of the most
popular characters in the whole fucking
Yeah,
MCU
and then he's released, and people played as him, and they're like, he plays pretty well, and actually I like his attitude quite a bit. All right, not gonna lie, I was wrong on this one. And then Guardians came out, and it's like the best movie in MCU. It's like, all right, you know what? Okay. I mean, so maybe Avatar 2 will be the best thing ever made. Who knows?
Here's the thing: you can never really count out James Cameron, right? I mean, he's made some of the best movies of all time. Let's just face it, right?
Best sequels of all time.
Well, you have Alien.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Aliens, yeah.
You have Aliens. You have Terminator 1 and 2.
I actually
True
forgot
Lies
he also
is still
did
one of my favorite fucking movies ever. I love that movie.
Have you ever killed anybody? Yes, but they were all bad. It's like the greatest line.
That movie, I just recently showed my wife that, and she's like, "This is fantastic. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen," and it keeps going.
and it has Jamie Lee Curtis from Virus.
Yeah,
Jamie Lee Curtis from the remake of Freaky Friday. Incredible.
from Halloween, not that Halloween, but that Halloween.
Yeah, from the latest Halloween movie. They treated her like she was a big deal. I don't know why.
But
from Halloween H2O.
but not Halloween 3.
Yeah.
Nobody's in Halloween 3. Silver Shamrock is in Halloween.
That is true.
But yeah, like and Titanic, The Abyss, like he has a billion
I didn't know he did The Abyss.
Movies. What?
I didn't know he did The Abyss.
Yeah, I mean, like,
because I haven't seen it, but yeah, Titanic I saw in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, like,
featuring Leonardo DiCaprio from The Quick and the Dead.
Very true. And he was at What's Eating Gilbert Grape before that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. As a kid, he
was in Critters 4.
Critters 4, really?
I've never seen it, but Red Letter Media mentioned it and showed a clip, so it's like, all right.
Oh goddamn. But yeah, I mean, James Cameron can make a fucking good movie. So like, don't count him out. He just.
And again, even Avatar 1 was very well made. It's just, I don't
It's Dances with Wolves / Pocahontas, but with aliens. Let's just face it. But let's hope that the inobtainium doesn't get in the way here.
And now that he's finished his true white whale project, Battle Angel Alita, maybe he could focus on
that turned out well too.
Yeah. But he's been wanting to do that for 15 years or something. Like it's just been in the back of his head forever.
And he only produced that; he didn't direct it.
Okay.
But yeah. I mean, I need to see that, by the way. But the really funny thing is, you can't watch Avatar in its original intended format anymore, because where are you going to get a 3D TV from? I mean, they don't.
Yeah. What do you think this is? 2006?
Yeah. They don't even make them anymore. So what the hell?
Now how am I going to experience Deadly Premonition in its best form?
You laugh, but Child of Eden was a whole big.
Well, yeah, but the joke is that Deadly Premonition on PS3 supports 3D. That's not the joke is that that's not a joke.
It should be. Was it janky 3D? But anyway.
Almost certainly, it was fucking janky 2D.
Devolver Digital had their E3 presentation, but they did a digital thing.
Yeah, it's a shitpost as you. Well, they always do a digital thing. That's what makes it great. There's no difference at all between what they did this year and what they did in 2019. It just didn't matter, which is why it's great. They weren't compromised at all. Now we got to do a digital a pre-recorded version. They've been doing that. It's amazing.
Devolver Digital might be my favorite video game company in terms of attitude.
Yeah, they take the piss out of the industry hardcore.
Yeah,
but they're just upfront about it.
The games that they release are like almost always worth your time, even if they're not your thing.
Yeah, I'm not always hyped about the actual games they release, although they are unique and worth a look. But their presentation is just untouchable. It's so fun.
Yeah. I mean, the last time they did something like this, they released a whole game to show off their new games. Like
Yeah.
they gave you like a game with boss battles and everything.
You know what I find funny though is they like they'll make fun of the stuff that corporations release and make fun of the people for buying them, and then they'll release that shit and you'll buy them. Like a couple of years ago, wasn't there some like novelty like coin, like a Devolver Digital coin that cost like over $100? And like, what value does it have? I don't know. Probably nothing. Does the U.S. government recognize it as currency? No. We're selling it, and people fucking bought them. And this year they were making fun of the concept of NFTs. Like, I have a great idea for something we could release. It'll be a unique videotape that we're using for this very conference, and we'll do something that makes it non-fuckwithable. A non-fuckwithable tape. That's what we'll release. And they did for $1,000, and some crazy person fucking bought it. So I guess the joke's on them.
I mean, that's kind of like Cards Against Humanity releasing like shit, and they told you it was going to be shit, and people bought the shit.
Yeah, I didn't think they were really serious. Like what we said, we were serious.
They literally sent people like cow shit.
Yeah, cow shit.
Yeah, like in the mail.
Yep. Can't say we didn't warn you. We literally did. We warned you.
And people were like, I'm gonna get in on this shit.
Yeah, and Devolver's like, this is stupid. We're making fun of the whole idea. We'll try selling this in case some lunatic buys it, and then some lunatic bought it. So, all right.
But yeah, they're probably their biggest game. I mean, not even probably. Their biggest game is Shadow Warrior 3. These games have been really popular with the people that have played them. I have not, unfortunately.
I have them, but I haven't played them. The only Shadow Warrior I've tried is the original, which was not Devolver, and it's mediocre. It's like a Duke Nukem 3D clone.
And it's
okay.
Very of the time, too.
Yeah, a lot of, like
racism.
Racist humor, yeah.
Racism, let's just say it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah.
I know this continues into the new game, but your name in the old game is Lo Wang. When you start a game, who wants some Wang? Like, I get it, because it sounds like a name, and it's also a dick.
Yeah, but
that's the humor. I got it.
The original game was on the build engine, so it was definitely like a Duke Nukem style game. Only.
Oh, just straight up. Yeah.
Yeah. But the build engine was a lot of fun. So I mean, that was one of the good, like non-Duke Nukem build engine.
Yeah, it was all right. I didn't really get into it, but then again, I played it in like 2020, so I don't know. Like maybe if I played it in the 90s, I would have liked it more.
Probably Shadow Warrior and Blood are the best of those.
Yeah, Blood's also good at what it does. All the game's stupid hard.
Yeah, because that game is also like balanced very poorly.
That punishes you really hard.
Yeah, but Devolver Digital also announced Death's Door, which actually looks really charming. It looks like an action RPG in the line of like Zelda. Which looks pretty fun, and Demon Throttle Switch looks really cool. That actually looks more like a Game Boy Color game than anything. Like a Zelda-ish Game Boy Color game, which is
and I
really
think
awesome.
I think one of the gimmicks about that game, I think I have the right game for this.
Yep,
believe this is gonna be sold by Special Reserve Games, SRG. Those guys always release, like, they have an in with Devolver. Like, they've been just releasing Devolver stuff, like, tons of it. But this is going to be released physically only, which is a bit of a head scratcher, but it also ties into their NFT making fun of you for engaging in it kind of thing. But this is like, Nina Struthers in the video just outright said this is going to be bought and put on shelves and like not played and scalped. Just think like that's because that's how that shit works.
It's really a shame, and it'll probably end up being like a small-ish game. But here's the thing: it looks good, and it looks like it will be fun. So
yeah, it does look like something you'd actually want to play.
I think this is a mistake, doing it this way.
My guess is that they might release it digitally later, or like they're just expecting people to pirate it because you have to play it. Because if you miss the pre-order window, that's it.
It's really a shame because at the same time, Super Rare Games announced a physical only line of games that they are releasing, and people were pretty pissed about it, generally speaking. And I think that's right to be. I mean, here's the thing.
It's an interesting move because on one hand, it sucks for the consumer, so like that's the whole thing, right? But on the other hand, for the indie devs, how many people actually buy their games for $1? Like, and Super Rare is giving them a bunch of money to make an unlimited pre-order for, so it might actually be better for the dev in the moment. But these games, as far as the buyers are concerned, is gonna come and go. And by the way, one other thing I want to mention real quick is that this is Super Rare doing this. I think is a pure coincidence and has nothing to do with Devolver.
Yeah, it could have been them making fun of them if they had enough headway on this.
Yeah, like the idea that both SRG companies are doing this is like a genuine amazing coincidence.
Yeah. I really think that this is a bad thing, a bad trend, and I don't agree with it. I mean I'm gonna buy this game. I'm not gonna lie because it looks like a lot of fun. But here's the thing about preservation. It's not we don't want physical games in replace of digital games. We want both. Like more accessibility and better preservation is
like digital
is what people want.
Yeah, digital is far superior in terms of you can't break a digital game, but digital games are taken off stores or the entire storefront disappears. Like, you're not going to be able to go to the PS3 store when the PS7 is out. Like, whatever exclusives that had will be gone unless you pirate.
I mean, and there, let's face it, there are some major advantages to a digital purchase. I mean, in terms of backwards compatibility, it is a better idea because physical media will probably one day just, cease to be. This might be the last generation for it. Very, very well may be. And the Vita, for instance, you could only play PSP games on it if you own the digital version of it. And it's the digital versions have their advantages as a result, and they're also better, easier archived. You don't need to buy a physical copy of it and then somebody could just crack it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I said before, digital is superior really in every way, except for the fact that when you buy them, you're basically buying permission to download them like 3 times or something. Because physical, you could just put in your disc whenever you want. But realistically, digital is better in every way. It's just that shit disappears because companies decide to make them disappear.
Yeah. So
physical, I could still play my Genesis game. No problem. I have it on my shelf. The bad news is if I break it, it's out.
Yeah. So my point is that you want both. You want physical. You want to be able to buy a physical version of it, for posterity. But digital is also a massive advantage as well. So, let's say for now that I can't track down a copy of Bloodstained on PS4. One of those Bloodstained Curse of the Moon games. Like the spin-offs. I can't get a physical copy of that first one right now. It's impossible.
But I can download the NES, the NES Castlevania style.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that was released as a limited print in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I could buy the digital one real easily and very cheaply.
That's the whole thing. Like, even if you prefer physical, they're not available. Aw, shucks. Well, I have a very, very easy backup. I can go home and buy it from there.
I hope that this is not especially with this is also bad for the developers, honestly, too. I mean, what if a cult comes on, about like people talking about this game, and then it can only be bought on eBay, right?
Oh, if it's like Among Us and all of a sudden word spreads like years
yeah,
later. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
because well, that's what I was saying. In the moment, it might actually
yeah,
be better for devs, but in the long run, like the game's gone. It's sold in 2021. That was it.
yeah, that's. But we'll see how this ends up. They might be just doing something
Yeah, this
funny.
might just be super rare. I don't know, but with special reserve, I'm pretty sure it's just a gimmick.
Yeah, well, they might be like, "Oh, Demon Throttle Deluxe is what is."
Yeah, they might. Yeah, because like again, I can't imagine they're just gonna like make their game disappear after like 100 copies are sold or something.
Yeah,
Whatever the print run is, like 1,500 or whatever.
yeah. So we'll see, right? But I think I just ordered the the regular edition of Demon Throttle because it looks like fun. But we'll see, Anyway, moving on. What was the I don't think there were a whole lot of other games that were worth talking about in that Trek to Yomi and okay, Wizard with a gun. Like, what is that? That sounds fantastic, but I didn't get a whole lot of info on that, so I'm sure we'll hear more about it. Devolver Tumble Time and Inscription and Phantom Abyss were the other titles, but they didn't make as much of a splash as the other ones. So we'll keep moving here. I just probably our last E3 thing for the day is that Arcade 1-Up is there, and they made a few announcements. One of them being that the Simpsons Konami arcade game is coming to Arcade 1-Up, which is really, really cool. I think they have all of the big Konami beat 'em ups now. They have X-Men, TMNT, both the original and Turtles in Time, and now they have The Simpsons. So that's really cool. It's a 4-player cabinet, just like it should be, and it also comes with a Simpsons bowling game on it. So it like has a weird,
curious,
like trackball in the middle of it, which looks kind of funny considering like if you grew up with that Simpsons cabinet like in arcades. That trackball was never there, so
yeah, it's gonna feel a bit weird. Yeah.
What's cool about Arcade 1-Up is they always seem to add like an like either an obscure game to almost every release, or something else that you want other than just one game, which is really noble of them. They're going the extra mile. I mean, a Simpsons bowling game that's never had much fanfare or been ported. I mean, that's pretty awesome. The X-Men one has a weird Avengers game that nobody likes on it. So I think that's really, really cool. They also announced a Street Fighter Big Blue cabinet, which is emulating the Big Blue cabinet of the Champion Edition of back in the day. That was really famous. It was probably the Street Fighter 2 you played it back in the 90s if you were around back then. But what was really neat about this is that it has a ton of games on it. It has Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Hyper Fighting, which is probably one of the best. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is the other one that you can argue is the best. Super Puzzle Fighter 2, Darkstalkers 1, 2, and 3. This is surprising. Saturday Night Slam Masters and Muscle Bomber Duo. Muscle Bomber Duo has never been put on anything ever I can think of. It's like semi sequel to Saturday Night Slam Masters, and that has artwork by Bronson, the Fist of the North Star guy. So
wow.
So those games have never really gotten like ports because they have extra rights to be worked out. Knights of the Round is on this, which is also a great but obscure choice. Eco Fighters is even more obscure. That's probably their most obscure beat 'em up, but also really good. And Capcom Sports Club, which is one of the most obscure games that I think that I know of. So this is like a really cool package and some really good games on there, and like having every Darkstalkers game and every early Street Fighter game on there, like except not Street Fighter 1, but like this is really cool. I think anybody would have a lot of fun, on these, and Arcade 1-Up does a really good job with emulation and making sure that these cabinets look really good. My only problem with them is, I don't think this is really a problem, but they are expensive. They're like $500 a pop. Not that they're not worth that. It's just like I'm not willing to buy it. Like,
yeah, I'm not buying arcade machines.
I'm not willing to buy it, but they do a good job with these. So if you are into these things and you want to make a mini arcade, I say go for it, because like they're really high quality. If I was getting one, I would get the Star Wars one, because I think that one's really neat. But they also revealed that they have a Turtles in Time version of the Ninja Turtles cabinet. The previous one had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the arcade game and Turtles in Time on it, but it looked like the original cabinet. This one looks like Turtles in Time, so it's a variant, but that's cool. Like, depending on which one you want to have in your house. And they also revealed Namco Class of 1981, which has all of their early games on it. Has Galaga 88, Galaxian, Dig Dug 2, Mappy, Rally X, Rolling Thunder, one of my favorites, Rompers, Tower of Jiraga, and King and Blue on it. Probably the best games on that are Galaga 88, Dig Dug, and Rolling Thunder. Mappy's really good too. I like Mappy quite a bit. But yeah, that's a really cool one. I really wish it had some of the later Namco titles on it. Obviously, this one's a specific time and place, but it's still pretty neat. Let's move on to so non E3 stuff. I'll let you throw this one out there because you broke it to me, but I believe it.
Yeah, this was the Ninja Gaiden Trilogy Remastered, the new Ninja Gaiden Trilogy, not the NES one. The release on Steam, people were
this is hilarious,
in disbelief, because like this is like something I would have expected like 10-15 years ago. But if you want to change the resolution of the game or switch from full screen to widescreen, or full screen to windowed or back, and I think it actually defaults to windowed, then you have to like set the resolution and windowed or full screen in like the launch option rather than within the game, which is just like that used to be a thing, but yeah, we haven't had that shit in forever. Like, really?
Since the original Dark Souls on PC before the remastered version.
Yeah, PS3 era. This is like the mid 2000s.
Exactly.
Well, no, that's not true. 2011. Excuse me.
But still, that's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. I don't know about other issues, but like that's just like, really.
Oh, you didn't see the Switch? The Switch version runs like garbage, like dog shit.
I mean, fair enough, but I always expect the Switch version to run at least less good.
These are old games. These like the latest game in the series was 3, and that came out on the 360. And the Switch should play that fine.
The Switch should play a lot of things fine.
The Switch plays, like Doom 2016 just fine. Like what? I mean that was programmed by like really, really good people.
Well, that's the whole thing. The thing I always mention is I saw the Game Grumps playing fucking Monopoly on the Switch, and that had frame rate issues. So who knows?
I think it's just the amount of effort that you put into it. I mean,
yeah,
honestly,
I doubt it's the Switch itself. Like, the Switch is a good system, but at the end of the day, it's one of the worst ways to experience any multi-platform game.
Yeah, any multi-platform game that is like has 3D graphics. Let's just put it that way as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I would really imagine people be in trouble if they can't handle the 2D stuff.
I mean, Ori 2 runs beautifully on it.
Yeah.
And like, but they even said that they had to work hard to make it play well, but it does play well. So I mean, like, it can be done is what I mean, and like it's no excuse that, like, a Ninja Gaiden games from 2. The first one is what, 3 generations ago.
Oh yeah, the original Xbox.
Yeah, the OG Xbox, and 2 generations ago for the other two, should run just fine on this thing. And yeah, they
Yeah, honestly, this is less on the Switch, and I think more on Team Ninja.
no, and honestly, I think a lot of people were expecting this to be kind of lazy to begin with because they're only porting like the games with problems. Like they're porting Sigma 1 and 2, which are not considered the definitive versions of those games.
Well, yeah, but wasn't the whole thing that like didn't they lose the source code for Black or something? Like, it's the only reason. That's the reason they port Sigma as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, but they're playable on Xbox currently. Why would I buy this if I could play all 3 of the original games on the on Xbox Series X right now, or Xbox One? I could play this entire trilogy and they run beautifully.
Yep.
And they're better versions. The definitive version of Ninja Gaiden 1 is Ninja Gaiden Black. It's not Sigma, because Sigma had frame rate issues when it came out because it was a early PS3 game made by a guy
early
who
PS3. Yeah, like
was
as
not
much
the
as I
creator of it.
as much as I rag on the Switch, the PS3 was the previous console generation's Switch, where like
2 generations ago.
At this point, yeah, like where if you ever had a multi-platform game, you're probably better off on the 360.
Yep. I don't know. Moving on from that, I just thought this was cool. Doki Doki Literature Club, which we LP'd, and I really love doing that with you, is getting physical releases for consoles.
And not
awesome.
Not only that, but it's Doki Doki Literature Club, I think like Plus or whatever. Like there's DLC.
Have more content, yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be DLC for it.
Neat.
And I'm excited about this because it's not exactly a spoiler that the game's fucked up. Like they give you a message, like a big warning message before even the title screen.
Yeah.
It's gonna get fucked up. Get ready, it's coming. So by this point, the word has been spread. So what are you gonna do with DLC to make it compelling? You can't trick me by having me not realize it's going to be this fucked up. So I'm curious to see how you're going to do this in a way that like runs with it.
Yeah. Well, I think that the game was so cleverly done to begin with that like I would think that the creator of it would do something interesting. Let's just put it that way. So I certainly want this game for posterity because I love that game, and wasn't it free?
Yeah, it was free, and the soundtrack was what you would pay for if you were so inclined. So basically, we've gone from completely free to $30. What a ripoff! Fucking 0 out of 10. I'm not buying it. I actually already pre-ordered it.
I pre-ordered it for $30. I am getting the
same
because that's where I buy my visual novels. But
I went for the PS4 version because I have a PS4.
Exactly. But I mean, I love this game, so I want it. I want the swag that comes.
Yeah, I'm very happy to, like, well, I don't have it. I'm very happy of the idea of having a physical copy of the game.
Exactly. It deserves, and they deserve. I would have paid $30 for it back then. Honestly, it was not a cheap.
It's
experience.
A very well thought out game. Yeah.
It was an experience that they should have paid and made us pay for. It was that good. They probably didn't think it was gonna take off like it did. Because like it became an internet sensation. We were far from the only ones who LP'd that game. But yeah, moving on from this, I just thought this was really cool. The Castlevania anime has done so well and inspired its company to make no games of it. Games.
I was gonna say like we're in a period in history where Castlevania is old.
Is an anime series.
Yeah, exactly. You mean there were video games too? Yeah, actually. Yeah.
It is an extremely popular. Like it is. Like people really looked forward to season 3. Like they were planning on on watching it as soon as it came out. So like and people that were not normally into video games, like they were like anime fans, were really into it, and people that weren't even just anime fans, like people that remembered the series from when they were kids, like it was a big deal, and it held up. Like people loved that 3rd season. But they announced that a spin-off is coming out, which is going to be about Richter and Maria. So Dracula.
Hydrostorm.
So Dracula X's storyline. So they did change some details, but who gives a shit?
Well, of course. I mean, look at the regular anime. Like, not a single conversation in that entire show existed in the game because it was a fucking Nintendo game.
Well, what I mean is, Richter is like 100 years away from Trevor.
Okay.
And in the games, and Richter is Trevor and Sylpha's son in the anime now. So
I mean, fair enough. I was gonna say who cares, because Iga himself said he wished he didn't put dates on the games because everyone tries putting the timeline together, and he's just like, I'm just making different Castlevania that has monsters you don't expect. Just play the games.
What's cool about this one is it's supposed to take place during the French Revolution, which is a really cool idea to have. The series intertwine with like real events. Which is what they did that.
Yeah, Bloodlines teased
Bloodlines.
that.
Yeah, they did that in Bloodlines. It was World War One.
Yeah,
is Bloodlines, which and it does, and that game in particular was really fun because you're like, you never saw a like modern times Castlevania, meaning there weren't any factories or modern warfare until
it's interesting because it makes you wonder how vampires would react to this stuff. Like it makes me think of like Lovecraft's stories, or like that one episode of Buffy where it's like he's completely unkillable. Like, well, yeah, he's unkillable when we use pointy sticks. Maybe he's just immune to fucking pointy sticks. Like, did you ever see that episode of Buffy where the super unkillable monster comes out and they take out like a fucking bazooka? And he's like, what's that? And then he just explodes. Like, he was invincible before they invented fucking bazookas. Come on.
It's like the old adage of, like, people playing D&D, like, if you chop up a werewolf, is he still alive? Like, because you didn't kill him with silver or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, come on, dude. Don't do this to me.
You chopped him up and blew him into little pieces. I'm sure he's dead.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
But I just find this really compelling because they can, of course, go on to Symphony of the Night after that, because Dracula X is the precursor to Symphony of the Night, and they already have Alucard as a character, so that's really cool. I mean, probably Dracula X and Symphony of the Night are the heart and soul of like Castlevania's lore. And it's really good that they started with Castlevania 3, because that's also where it
well,
really
that's where you have character dynamics and conversations.
Exactly.
It's not just kill enemy, fight boss. Like, Grant comes up to you. Do you wish to join forces? Like, etc., etc.
Yeah, it starts having a semblance of a story, and then Symphony of the Night has actual dialogue in it, right? So like that, and it also has a complicated family dynamic in it, which is pretty cool. So like who wants to fight their father? Nobody. So like it's just really interesting. Also have to mention this once again. Fist of the North Star is finally getting an English rollout that looks like it's bound to be successful.
Yeah, it's out. You can buy it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and people are already ordering it in droves. I saw a bunch of people show off their copies of this on
very,
Twitter.
Very good.
I have mine on the way. It's coming in the mail on Tuesday. But I already have this in the colorized version that came out back in the 90s. But I am for sure supporting this because I want the whole thing to be. I'm sure it will be successful because manga is extremely important, popular right now. I mean, I don't know how a second manga boom happened while I wasn't looking, but apparently manga is like the shit right now again. I think Junji Ito kind of helped it, which is kind of funny, because Junji Ito is not really a mainstream author, but
his manga is
now he is
really not for everybody.
and now he is, like people, he's making new stuff and people are buying the shit out of it. So
yeah, I gotta say it was really refreshing going to a Barnes and Noble and just seeing a bunch of Junji Ito stuff just on the bookshelves. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I think Viz and Shonen Jump stuff and Dark Horse stuff is selling extremely well right now. So having some well-deserved classics, I think JoJo sells really well too. So
Well, yeah, the anime coming out really helped with that because there was a mandatory dry spell in the mid 2000s, so that just kind of disappeared. So when the anime came out, people were like, "Oh, this looks like a cool show," and the manga lets you read way ahead of where the show is. Let's take a look.
this is so fucking refreshing, considering when we were going through this, when we were into these things, it was so hard to get a hold of it. You needed
it was
pirate
scanlations or nothing.
Yeah, you needed to pirate this stuff, and we had a shot at reading part 3 of JoJo, not part 1 or part 2. But
Back
just
when you
part
didn't
3.
know what it was and had no inclination to buy it anyway.
And that almost didn't get finished because of low sales.
Well, also the controversy with the OVAs, I think.
Yeah, and
because that killed the company that made the OVAs.
Yeah, but that was put out by Viz back then too, though. But like the
but I mean the OVA, the company that produced the actual OVAs, like that was it. That was their one project.
What a shame. And you know, Fist of the North Star, like I said, only got like 8 volumes, and they're way more than that.
Yeah.
And the later ones are impossible to find and worth a ton of money. All I had was scanlations, so like just this is awesome that they're putting this out in its original form. I can buy it. It's going to be on my shelf, and I'm gonna. I bet you enough people know what Fist of the North Star is now in the United States that it'll continue being selling well because everybody knows how important it is too. And I just wanted to mention this real quick. Conan O'Brien has always been my favorite late night talk show host. Probably my favorite talk show host of all time in general. And his TBS show is ending this month, and he's like having a rollout of a finale for his final weeks, and he is having his last show broadcast on June 24th, and he revealed that his final guest appearance will be Jack Black, which is a really good choice for a last.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, a last one, and he gets along really well with Conan. He's like somebody who's been on a lot, and I might add that Conan isn't going away. He is changing format over to HBO Max and doing something different. He has not really talked about exactly what he's doing, but I think he's doing more of the segment kind of stuff that that go viral, like his Clueless Gamer thing. I don't think is going away. His Conan Across Borders stuff is still going to be around. So he's doing more of a variety show, but not necessarily like a talk show. Like he's going to have filmed segments and maybe interviews, but like ones that didn't happen that day. It's not like a daily talk show. But he's not going away, so thankfully that. And he's also like transitioning on his own terms, which is something that can't be said about the last time he left the show.
No kidding. Yeah.
Which is one of the biggest debacles in entertainment history. Probably one of the worst. And he came out rosy on it. It was not his fault. He was probably the only party not at fault, which is really amazing. The way it turned out, he came out really rosy in it, and still had a show. He had in fact, it's better than ever because he got Andy Richter back. Which he lost for a long time. He didn't have him for the his late night with Conan O'Brien. He dropped off and tried to have his own career, which he did really well at, but wasn't nearly as successful. But ever since he's been doing this TBS show, he's had some really really good, fun stuff happen. I mean, you ever see the stuff he does with Paul Rudd? The running
where Paul Rudd just keeps showing that stupid clip of Mac and Me.
Yeah, Mac and me, where
it'll be different. I promise. This time I'm not joking around.
It's gonna be a trailer of Ant-Man, I promise. And like
yes.
every single time, it's just that kid in the wheelchair falling off the cliff with.
It is very funny.
With Mac just like blue screened in front of it.
Yeah, poorly. Yeah.
He did that. I think something like 15 times on his show, which is remarkable.
It's something dumb. Yeah, like it's just. You know it's coming, but it's still funny.
It's funny because like they never they don't like he always like goes like it's something different, I swear.
Yeah, like surely they wouldn't do it 17 times. Hey, whoops, here we go.
Yeah, but I just love Conan O'Brien. He's a fantastic person, and he's one of the funniest people alive. And I love his podcast. I love everything he does, really. And I think he's also a really genuine, really nice person. So I just I love his interviews too. So I just can't wait to see what he has going on. But I will watch this final week because I want to see what he does. He'll probably have like a really good send off for this format. So I'm really excited. And that's pretty much all I have, Lotus. But I know we went overtime, but we had just so much stuff here.
Oh, most certainly. And there will be more next week for E3.
Oh man, I really wish we could talk about Nintendo as soon as it happened, but we just don't. The format doesn't allow it. Lotus. Anyway, that is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, where we will be returning back to a discussion on pre-MCU Marvel live action. So we will be returning back to that since we don't have anything that's timely. So finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything. Just give me a DM and let me know who you are and how you know me.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, like the aforementioned Deadly Premonition, getting in on exclusive live streams, we're about to wrap up Fear Effect, so prepare for that. Selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, which, again, includes Deadly Premonition, or getting conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/lotusprince.
Wonderful. Well, we will catch everybody on Thursday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.